to by the Chair. All participating members are to keep their camera on during the proceedings unless they're having connection issues. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communications via the Chair. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you're not speaking, apart from the Chair, who does not need to mute their mic at any stage. If you are referring to a specific page or picture in the report, refer to the page number. If you're having technical difficulties, please use the chat function in Google Meet to alert the meeting. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the committee or to make other comments. Any persistent, destructive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. And welcome everyone to tonight's Cabinet meeting. Clearly, we're very cognizant that a year ago we were on the eve of the national lockdown, and clearly a huge amount has changed. We've had a year of meeting virtually now. When we spoke back then, I think none of us truly knew what was to come, but I would just like to thank everyone in the council for the work that they have done over the entire year across everything that we do to keep council services going and to do so much more, because it hasn't just been a year of maintaining services. I think there are whole parts of the council, whether it's around the humanitarian response, whether it's around the work that we do in our expanded public health team, the work that we've done around laptops with schools. You know, there are just so many things we could talk about that the council has stepped in to address some of the national failures, and I'd just like to pay tribute to everyone in the senior leadership team that has been a part of that, but obviously all the staff, both on the front line that are working in Hackney day in, day out, but also those office-based staff that have been working from home over the past period. I know that there is a huge amount of work going into thinking about how we mark that occasion. There has been obviously civic announcements from our speaker around a virtual book of condolence. I had a very poignant event today with the speaker and Ajman Ali, where we remembered 2 members of staff that lost their lives and are now permanently remembered in London Fields. And more such events will be taking place over the next few days and weeks. And obviously, that is against a backdrop of the loss of over 485 local residents so far that have been lost to COVID. We clearly are working very hard to increase vaccine take-up locally. And again, I would like to pay tribute to the whole of the NHS and the local health system for their work, both on testing and vaccination, and keeping that system safe for our residents and keeping staff safe. And they are supported by a whole network of volunteers. And I know some people on the call, I think, have already signed up as volunteers and more are likely to do so. And I think Councillor Kennedy and I have been meeting some of our champions as well that have been supporting that vaccine effort. And that will continue and is obviously incredibly important when it comes to the roadmap and making sure that we move through that roadmap in Hackney and across the country in a way that sees society, council services and our economy return to a degree of normality. Clearly, there are going to be bumps in that road. There'll be challenges ahead. People are still catching COVID, but we do have some very positive COVID statistics this week. I think we're the 4th or 5th lowest rate of incidence in London, or we were at the start of the week. I think that's incredibly important, but that has been down to the hard work of everybody that I've mentioned before. So finally, I know some of the people on this call have already taken the vaccine, and thank you for doing so and talking about it publicly. Others of us, including myself, eagerly await the moment when we're contacted. I would urge anybody watching tonight to obviously, they will have questions. There's plenty of information out there that the councillors provide from the local NHS. Read up. Vaccines are safe. They're incredibly important, and please do take the vaccine when you are called. I will now move on to the formal part of the agenda, and thank you for indulging me in my opening remarks. I've got apologies for absence on the officer side from Anne Canning. Are there any other apologies for absence?
And from Tim Glanville.
Thank you. So Tim Shields. I have not been notified of any other apologies. Sorry.
Yeah. Apologies for lateness from Councillor Williams, who's just joining.
Great, thank you. I'm sure we can make a note. I haven't been notified of any urgent items of business. Are there any additional declarations of interest? No. I should have, in my preamble, welcomed our new cabinet members. That is completely remiss of me. Thank you, Councillor Coban and Councillor Chapman. And obviously, I don't think Councillor Ette is here this evening, but welcome. And obviously, we wish Deputy Mayor Renison happy maternity leave as we did. And I think we can announce to Cabinet that she's given birth to a healthy baby boy, which I'm sure we'll pass on our congratulations. I haven't received any intention to conduct any of the business in private, and there have been no deputations, questions or petitions. Am I right, Dawn? Yep, nodding, good. Sorry to put you on the spot, I was just double checking. We've got the unrestricted minutes from our previous meeting on the 22nd of February. Are we happy to approve those minutes?
Approved.
Agreed.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman, you're straight into the hot seat in your first cabinet meeting with the OFP.
Thank you, Mayor. I can deal with this fairly quickly. It's largely as set out. Just to point out, we end the year with a deficit of projected deficit of 1.65 million, which is a slight improvement on the position that we reported last month. I think we ask you to note that, but I think the important point for everyone to recognise is just vital for all my colleagues here and officers to continue to press down on costs. So we meet our budget predictions and reduce the pressures on next year and future years. So I'll say that with regard to the budget. The report also contains recommendations to approve the grant of a lease to End Family Club for Lee House and the associated delegations that go with that, which are set out in the recommendations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman. Does anyone wish to debate or ask any questions about the report? Thank you. Are we happy to agree it?
Agreed.
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 Right. So capital update item 8 is in my name. I would just draw colleagues' attention, as I always do, to some of the capital investment we're continuing to make, obviously against a backdrop of the financial challenges that we always report in the previous item. I'm really pleased that we've been so successful in attracting joint grant support from the Mayor of London to help bridge some of that digital divide with adult learners. I know Councillor Williams and others have been working really hard on that. It builds on the work we've obviously done with our schools and young people that Deputy Mayor Bramble's led on, and I'm pleased that we've got that equity when it comes to adult learners. And I think some of those first laptops are due to go out very, very soon. We've also outlining how we're continuing to invest in our digital platforms that support our humanitarian response, which includes the fire support services, which is effectively a bridge between residents, the council, volunteers, and our local voluntary sector when it comes to signposting and finding and mapping support. And those are probably the two highlights. There's obviously more detail in the main report, but any questions or comments? Councillor Bramble, Deputy Mayor Bramble.
Mayor Glanville, yes, thank you. I know that you've already thanked the staff in Hackney for their help in the campaign that I launched for appeals for our young people, but just wanted to be able to thank our community and our local businesses. To date, Mayor Glanville, we have raised £8,500 and we've had 265 laptops donated, and that's just sheer Hackney heart. So really just want to commend our community and our local businesses in a time that's really challenging for everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor Brown. Absolutely. More to do, though, I fear. More to do as well. Are we happy to agree the report?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. So item 9 is the licensing policy for private rented housing. It's in both my name and Councillor Marima's. I wondered if Councillor Marima wanted to speak to the report.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Glanville, and I thank you for taking this item. So this report is brought to tonight's meeting. I want to first of all just reiterate some of the work that we've been doing since 2016 and before that around the Better Renting campaign. As we all know, the council has 3 licensing schemes: mandatory licensing, additional licensing and selective licensing. And this report and the appendices just outline how they are slightly operationally different. It also recognises the fact that since we have introduced additional and selective licensing in the borough, we have had some successes and increases in the number of people who have applied for licenses, and we have been able to bring standards to the private rented sector, which 10 years ago was a tiny proportion of the housing stock in the borough, and now accounts for a third and growing fastest in comparison to the housing association and council tenants in the borough. So I want to thank officers for pulling this together. This policy just simply puts all of the work that we've been doing over the last few years in one place. Just by way of background, we've had some successes around the numbers of landlords who we have been able to successfully license. Around 55% in the report stated were licensed by the end of the second year. And this report asks Cabinet to approve page 3, 3.1 and 3.2 to approve the policy for private sector licensing and to allow the strategic director, congratulations on your appointment, to make operational amendments to the scheme as it operates. And just to wrap up, I would say that through the lockdown, the team have worked diligently and have worked really well to support tenants in the private rented sector, particularly when it comes to dealing with evictions in the face of potential job losses and so on. And hopefully this piece of work will make their jobs as officers a lot easier in supporting the 34,000 households in our borough in the private rented sector. So the final thing I would say is that in the report, it does outline where offences, what are offences under the rules in this particular policy. And we'll just draw your attention to that and encourage members to do the same with regard to their residents. So with that, I'm happy to commend this to Cabinet.
Thank you, Councillor Meeman. We pay tribute to the work that you've put into our campaigning on better rented standards. I think we've also seen that our enforcement work continues. There was some notable cases that have received some really positive publicity, and I know that the work around using all of these tools that are outlined in this paper continues, and they've actually proved invaluable even with some big institutional landlords and some notable campaigns. So again, this is a really positive tidying up exercise and continued direction of travel. Are we happy to agree the report?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. I would just say the next item is the lease of 5 hostels for rough sleep and move on and general needs temporary accommodation. I just wonder and fear whether we haven't invited Councillor Ette to the meeting properly. She's not in the calendar invite that I've got. And obviously it's a joint report in the similar spirit to the last one. So I don't know if we can correct that for future meetings, or she may have been invited and not able to make it, but I just wanted to extend my apologies if that hasn't happened in the correct way. I'm very, very happy to introduce the report jointly. I think the team in housing needs that work on our hostel accommodation and have worked around our work with Russell around coronavirus clearly have been driving up standards around temporary accommodation in the borough, and notable success stories in the new facilities in Finsbury Park and also the investment in our existing hostels around Manor House and indeed on Kingston Road. This continues that work. I think it also represents a a really positive investment in our hostel infrastructure, in the quality of that accommodation for some of the most vulnerable people in our borough, but also it represents a really positive story for the taxpayer in ensuring long-term temporary accommodation in the borough and managing the costs of that in a positive way. So I know a huge amount of work has happened across the council to bring this report, and Councillor Netta and I were working on it over the last few weeks in terms of finalising the detail. Does anyone want to debate or question on the report? I think I'm also having internet difficulties, which I apologise for. I'm not seeing anyone indicating, so are we happy to agree the report?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. So item 11, it should be joined by really with Councillor Cockburn, but it's probably the last report I'll be bringing in what is Councillor Cockburn's new portfolio. It is a positive step in terms of our municipal entrepreneurism. We are setting up an expansion of our business waste and recycling service into an environmental services company. I know that has been a long-held wish of the service. I think it builds on our really great track record of service delivery for businesses in the borough and allows us to expand the flexibility that we have to provide holistic services for businesses that operate outside of Hackney, chains that operate in Hackney and elsewhere, and especially in boroughs neighbouring us. And it's a flexibility that up until now we simply haven't had. There are some nearby boroughs that have developed that capability, and I think are quite rightly using that flexibility in the ways that we want to be able to do so. And I think there are some really exciting opportunities to bring that consistency around quality, service, and reach. And I also referenced the fact in the report that we want to be a really positive influence on the industry in terms of paying conditions as well as our staff. So we can bring all of that as an offer through this investment. I think it is also had some really good due diligence in terms of it is a modest upfront investment. It's on commercial terms. And making sure that we are not following a commercial model that would put at risk the council services and all of the depot facilities and vehicles that the Environmental Trading Services Company, we are effectively providing that and will receive income for that as well. So it is diluting services that residents or businesses already receive. I don't know if anyone wanted to add or debate or ask any questions about the report.
Sorry, Mayor, I just wanted to. Yeah, it's just really, I mean, just to say, I know I've just started my role, but I've had the opportunity to meet the team, and we discussed it very briefly. And just to say, really, Mayor, just to build on some of the comments that you made, it's great to see that, you know, whilst in many parts of the country, and this is one of the great things about Hackney, is that whilst a lot of local authorities are reacting to sort of day-to-day sort of events and obviously cuts by, you know, central government and lots of different areas, it's great that Hackney yet once again is being a forward-thinking borough, and, you know, that entrepreneurial spirit is obviously being thought out through different services. So it's a fantastic opportunity, and I know that the team is extremely excited and really looking forward to working with them on this.
Thank you. And again, huge tribute to what you've just said, but also the officers that have developed this proposal. Again, cross council working, and we've got an incredible team in our waste services team that not only delivering the fortnightly waste changes, but obviously have just insourced the services that provide cleaning to our corporate estate as well. So I think it does show what they can deliver, their levels of innovation and their high motivation to deliver the very best for our residents and customers. Are we happy to agree with the report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Great. Thank you. Item 12, which is the public space protection order in relation to dog control. Councillor John Thomas. We can't hear you, I'm afraid, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Glanville. Can you hear me now?
We can indeed.
Thank you. This papers in front of you is seeking the approval to renew the PSPO in relation to dogs control in the borough. Since 2017, we have a public space protection order in place to deal with dogs nuisance in the borough, but that expired on the 19th of October, and we've gone out for consultation. A majority of respondents supported the renewal of the PSPO. So what this paper is asking is for Cabinet to approve the making of a public space protection order in relation to dog control in the borough. Thank you. I commend the report to Cabinet for approval.
Thank you. I think also illustrating that the words PSPO don't always have a negative connotation, and that, as you said, the consultation welcomed the work in this area. Does anyone want to debate or ask any questions on the report? Are we happy to agree?
Agreed.
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 Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kennedy, Mental Health S75 agreement.
Thank you, Chair. Since 2014, we've been delivering in partnership with ELFT, the East London NHS Foundation Trust, an integrated mental health service. And this is simply a paper seeking renewal of that Section 75 agreement to carry on delivering that for another 5 years. And I commend it for approval by Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Are there any questions or comments on the report? No, we're happy to agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Great, thank you. So item 14 is appearing under general exception rules. That's due to the emergency nature of the item, which is why it wasn't on the executive meetings and key decision notice by the 28-day statutory publication date, which was the 16th of February. I think Councillor Fajana Thomas might provide a bit more context on that while introducing the report. Councillor Fajana Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor Glanville. This report before you is seeking another approval to go out to consult with residents and businesses in Hackney around public protection order on alcohol. The borough, we do have a borough-wide public space protection order on alcohol since 2017, but that expired in October 2020. So what this report is asking for is to go out, to go and consult around the renewal of the public space protection order on alcohol borough-wide with a clause London Field. We have seen in the last many years, we've seen an increase in ASB in London Field, including drunkenness, aggression, intimidation of enforcement officers, police officers in London Field area. So, and in October, between September and October 2020, we went out to consult people around London Field and users of London Field. And majority of people that live around London Field are very concerned about the antisocial behavior in around the area, and they wanted the council to do something around it. And majority of people that responded to that consultation, 85% of people wanted something done. In particular, the mayor just mentioned around the urgency of this. We've seen when the lockdown was eased last year, we've seen what happened around London Field, because London Field, many people out of the borough have turned London Field into a festival center and denying local people the use of the park. And people wanted us to do something before the lockdown is eased, so that there will be opportunity for our enforcement officers to carry out enforcement. So this approving the recommendation to go out to consult on PSPO for borough-wide, with that clause that will prohibit alcohol consumption in London Field, will be in place to help tackle the issues around London Field and give our enforcement officers the power to be able to control that. And thanks very much. I commend the report to you for approval.
Thank you, Councillor Jarman-Thomas. And I think we all know that the need to do that engagement and consultation up front after the conversations that obviously took place last year, the need to make sure that we have robust plans in place to manage our public spaces as the lockdown eases. And I think it is really timely that we have this report this evening, as Councillor Jarman-Thomas has indicated. As somebody that was in a very wet and quite cold London Fields today, it's hard to remember the scenes when we have even just a hint of sunshine, just how busy that space can be. And that is obviously deeply valuable to our residents and people that live near the park. And what we are saying, I think, in this report and all of the work to reset London Fields is that park should be available to everyone to enjoy and shouldn't just be dominated by one activity. And I think it's a proportionate response that we're seeking here. The other thing that I very visibly saw is our investment in public toilets, in both sets of public toilets in London Fields. That it is well underway. The Martello Street toilets are unrecognisable. They have temporary toilets outside at the moment, but we'll also reopen with expanded capacity, higher quality and inclusive public toilets for all, which is obviously an essential part of making sure that we enforce, but also we provide those facilities that our residents and visitors need and deserve. There is not a trade-off by providing those facilities and enforcing and keeping our staff and residents safe. I just thought that was worthwhile adding to the report, and I think there's reference to it in the report as well. Did anyone want to raise any other questions or points or debate the report? Deputy Mayor Bramble, as a formidable London Fields councillor when not being Deputy Mayor Bramble.
Meg Glanville, I just want to reiterate all the points that you've made and just really thankful and welcome the approach the council's taking from the variety of casework that we receive as ward councillors. It is on the topics that you have mentioned and highlight and raised. And I know that Councillor Selman and now Councillor Jarman-Thomas have been working very closely with us to try and find a resolve and listen to our residents to put in place, hopefully measures that will help that place, public space, be welcome to everyone. And yeah, just really thankful.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bramble. I can see Councillor Woodley nodding from a parks and play perspective. And I also know, most of us on this call have been in some of those conversations with children and young people that started to feel really excluded from their local park. And I think that is what we have firmly seen during these conversations as well. So thank you for bringing that perspective.
Thank you. Can I just say as well, welcome Councillor Woodley in the role. I don't know how I could have overlooked it, but literally hit the ground running and have had discussions with her too. And it's just really good to be working closely with her too.
Thank you. If I can just jump in then, having championed works around a converted toilet on Clapton Commons, it's actually been fantastic to now celebrate the kind of refurbishment of toilets. I know I'm looking at Councillor Maxwell as well, because I know we've both picked up feedback from older people, from people with disabilities, additional needs, just people that want to be able to kind of use these facilities and see that we've done that with care. So I'm very happy about that. But also a huge thank you to Councillor Fajana Thomas. I know her presence at the London Fields user group meeting yesterday was much appreciated there, also with other London Fields ward councillors on that meeting. And, you know, I think we're all very aware of the issues and very engaged and hoping to make a positive change. So thank you to everyone.
I can feel Titbits writing itself, but I will bring in Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you, Mayor Glanville. I just really want to echo what everybody else has said. And as Councillor Woodley said, a lot of older people have said that they don't find the parks welcoming, and they've asked for this to be, you know, their needs to be taken into account. So I'm very pleased to see this being brought forward, especially as we start to go out of lockdown and more older people get their vaccines or their second vaccines, because a lot of them will have had their first, and wanting to be going out more. We want the parks to be a welcoming place for our older population.
Absolutely. And I hope for residents that haven't been back to our parks, or maybe haven't been able to enjoy them due to lockdown or shielding, that when they do return to our parks over the months ahead, as lockdown eases, they will see these improvements, not just in London Fields, but elsewhere across the borough. And that's very much in the spirit of what Councillor Maxwell has said. And I opened the meeting paying tribute to our staff. Some of the staff that have had to deal with the most challenging situations are parks and enforcement staff in London Fields and elsewhere. And I think when Councillor Selman and I went down and met them after a very busy weekend, and they talked about their experiences, this is absolutely, I'm afraid, with regret, the right course of action. Are we happy to agree the report and take it out to consultation?
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you, everybody. Item 15, there were no appointments to outside bodies that I've been notified for. Item 16, any other unrestricted business that I consider urgent? There are none, although I have been totally remiss of me not to welcome Helen Woodland, our new Group Director for Adults Health and Integration, to the meeting. I think this is day 3, so very much welcome, and I know you've already been getting to know the services, and you're very welcome, and we've been very much looking forward to you starting this week. So again, welcome to Cabinet. Back to the agenda. We've got dates for future meetings. There's one on the 26th of April and then the 24th of May. Obviously, we move into the pre-election period next week, which is one of the reasons I think this agenda is so packed. On items 19 to 21, there is exempt appendix related to items 7, 10 and 11. I didn't see any indication, obviously, earlier in the agenda whether colleagues want to debate or discuss these items. If they do, I'll have to exclude the press and public and stop the live stream. But if they are content, I won't need to do that. And we can draw the items to a close. They're under 19, 20 and 21. Are we happy with how they sit?
Yes. Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Is that okay, Dawn?
Agreed.
Just checking that I didn't break some sort of protocol.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Mayor Glanville. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no other items, so I'll bring the meeting to a close. Thank you very much.
Yes, you quite rightly welcomed Helen Woodland. I echo the welcome to her, but Denise D'Souza is on the call, who has been our interim Group Director. This is her last Cabinet meeting. I just wanted very quickly to say thank you ever so much, Denise. Your help has been absolutely invaluable during the pandemic in this interim role, both to myself and to the senior leadership team. You know, we have COVID to thank, actually, that you stayed on long enough in order to be able to do a smooth handover with Helen. Thanks so much for your time and your dedication, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you.
I absolutely echo what Councillor Kennedy said. Denise, you've been an incredible leader of social care, an incredible leader during COVID, and the detailed work both around vaccinations and staff support, and some of the trickier issues you've also had to sort of deal with have been in terms of splitting the directorate and putting it onto a sure footing. It's been absolutely brilliant, the work that you've done, and just thank you so much. As Councillor Kennedy said, you look like you were about to say something, so I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, just want to thank you and say it's been an interesting and enjoyable time in Hackney. Yes, I came for a while. COVID has kept me, as has cyber. So I've really welcomed all the support that I've had as well, both from the senior leadership and from the administration. So thank you all very much, and good luck for the future.
And indeed, good luck as well. Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. I really appreciate you ensuring we ended on that note. Stay safe, everyone, and see you in April. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.